Alright, so we are at my local Harley dealer today, which is Barb's Harley Davidson. And they've got the demo truck here from HD doing some demo rides. And we are going to demo the new Pan America ST, which I've really been excited about since they announced it. I did ride the original 1250 Special Pan America, and it was really cool, but I'm not really much into the off-road stuff. So this one that is completely road focused is right up my alley. So we're going to take this beauty for a spin and give you some thoughts and see what it's like. Definitely a cool bike, man. It does have some very subtle differences from the original 1250 Special. It's definitely a lower ride height for sure. But I can definitely see where the road focusing comes in. Doesn't have the hand guards, but it looks like you could easily have them on. It's a pretty cool bike. Should be a blast to ride.
Alright, when you start, use the clutch when you start the bike. We're going to go single file out of the parking lot. Wait for me to send you out. You're going to ride staggered, not side by side in a lane. No passing, no slingshotting. The lead rider will use hand signals. If a car gets in between, let it happen. It won't stay with us. It'll go another way. No right turn on reds. They're going to stop at the yellow light. Obey all the laws. Everyone rides different, so be patient with the other riders. If your bike has a problem, just pull to the side and the trail guy will come up and assist you. If the pack gets split up, the trail rider will come up and he'll take the lead. Let's see, no cell phones. When you get to your bike, if you have any questions, just raise your hand. Get familiar with the bike, the radio, whatever, before we leave the lot. Don't be riding looking down all the time. Start your bike, put your kickstand up. Wait for me to release you. If you're uncomfortable, if you don't like the bike, if something's not right, just raise your hand or pull to the side of the road, and we'll get that taken care of before anything happens. All right, right at it.
Feels pretty strong. Clutch release point's pretty far. Looks like the windshield is fixed. Either that or I just don't know how to use it. New bike though. That's fine. It's got traction control. Or no, I'm sorry. No, it is traction control. Nice. Standard turn signals both on the left stalk. I don't know if this has got any rider modes on it, but it looks like it does. It looks like it might be in sport mode. It's definitely a lot more upright than my Triumph is, that's for sure. But it's comfortable. I'm definitely a lot lower than I was on the original Pan Am, that is for sure. There goes the CVO. That's the one I test rode. They're nice. Alright, here we go. Gotta get used to the clutch on this thing. Brakes are good. Brakes are good. Nice and smooth. Clutch release is definitely further out than my bike. Man, this is comfy. It definitely wants to be revved up. This is not an engine that wants to cruise low. It wants to be up in the R's, kind of like a sport bike. You can feel it because it's like I gave that a pretty good amount of throttle down low, and it just kind of felt a little lacking until it got up there in the R's. Oh, I didn't think to check and see if this has auto-canceling turn signals. I know some of the Harleys do. I don't know if this one has it. Looks like we're pulling over here. I think we're waiting for maybe the other people in the group. I was in second, not first. Yeah, this has got automatically adjusting suspension. That's pretty cool. I hope everybody's alright. I didn't see what happened.
Get a staggered column, go on the left.
I guess they screwed up the staggered formation up there. And not everybody's really used to riding in a group formation. If you don't ride in groups often, you don't really know how staggered works. It can get a little confusing. And just for safety, they want to make sure everybody knows where they're at. That's nice. That is an M109R, it looked like. Love those bikes. They're one of the cruisers I like, and I'm not a big cruiser person, but they're kind of badass. Oh, we got a car coming. I think we're clear after this. Hopefully they go. Here we go. I can feel like this bike just wants to go. It's not cut out for this slow speed maneuver. I mean, I'm sure you could slow speed maneuver on this thing pretty good, but like, I feel it, man. This bike just wants to rock and roll. Engine does vibrate a lot, which I don't mind. I mean, it kind of makes me feel more connected to the bike. Yeah, she's got some power. When you're up in the RPMs, man, you definitely feel it. It's definitely a lot more snappy. This thing wants to be north of 4,000 without a doubt. And that makes sense, because like, you figure my Triumph, you know, typically I'm between 4,000 and 6,000 unless I'm really hitting on it. This guy just wants to be up in the RPMs. Shifts very smooth. Like I said, I don't know if this has a quick shifter option, but just using the clutch, I mean, very, very smooth. Yeah, man, she wants to be up there in the R's. Bike ride's nice, man. It's very, very vibraty, though. That's the only thing I really notice about this. Even more so than my bike. You know what I mean? And my bike's definitely more of a sporty bike. But this thing definitely takes the turns very, very nice. definitely feel it's a little heavier than my bike. It's not much heavier, not like a catastrophic amount, but I can definitely feel the weight. It feels like it's more top heavy than my bike too. But I mean, I like it. I still say if I were gonna buy a Harley, this is definitely my front runner for what I would buy right now. That's a nice little loop. Hey, it does have automatic canceling turn signals. That's pretty cool. I definitely don't have that on my bike. This is a nice bike. That's not bad. I like this thing. Oh, we got a train track crossing. I don't know if they tweaked the engine on this a little bit compared to the original 1250. I'd have to research on that. I've only seen some of the very in-depth reviews on this, and I don't remember if they changed any tuning or anything like that. The engine feels strong, especially when you get it where it's happy. She's good. She's a good bike. I would definitely consider, if I was in the market to purchase a bike of this style, it would definitely be in the consideration for me. I love it. It's nice. I rode the original one, and then when they announced this one coming out, I was pretty excited. I wanted to check it out. Yeah. It's pretty quick. Yeah. It handles pretty good, too.
This one too, but that one more.
Yeah.
It's a little low. I squeezed this ground, turning in circles.
Yeah.
Wide back tire makes it slow turning.
Oh.
No way.
There we go. We found neutral. She does get warm though. Man, you gotta watch your thigh near that exhaust. I think the windshield is fixed. Heated grips, looks like heated grips. Nice. And look, it's got the buckles for the handguards, so you can put the Pan America handguards on it, I'm assuming. That's pretty cool. Well, looks like we're gonna about face. You get to feel it on the highway, not intentionally, but pretty solid. The windscreen is kind of leading to a lot of buffeting on the helmet. It's not really doing that much. It is a kind of a tiny windscreen, but considering I'm used to zero windscreen, it's really not that bad. It's definitely stable. That's for sure. 6th gear, man, this thing just pulls. I mean, I know we're not really going that fast, but like, you can feel the grunt when you're, as long as you're 4,000 or above, man, you give it gas, you can feel it. Yeah, but see, like down low, even slightly below, you just give it gas, it just doesn't have it. So it wants to be in that range. It wants RPMs, and you need to feed it. Oh man, this is going to be a traffic disaster, I think. It doesn't look too bad. Oh, okay, so we basically got back to where we were going to go. We just had to take the roundabout way. Oh, God, that was a bad bump. Takes the bumps about as hard as my bike does. Man, you can really feel the vibration on this thing. I'm kind of, oh God, that was a really bad bump. Should have stood up for that one. I'm kind of mixed on that because like sometimes it feels really cool, and then other times it gets to be a little annoying. I guess it really depends on what kind of riding you want to do. Damn, that truck is nice. ride's really, really nice. Pretty badass bike. I think Harley did a really good job on this thing. Oh, he said no right on red, yeah. All kinds of audio controls right here. There's so many more gadgets than my bike, man. I'd be lost. All this modern technology. By the time you figure out what button to push, it's like you're going to run into something. But I guess, once you're riding it long enough and you're used to it, it becomes second nature, so. I can't see the lights to see when it's going to change. Oh, they're slowing down. Second gear, that's why it felt so weird.
Way forward. There it is, yep.
There we go.
It's a hard, yeah.
Well, that was pretty cool. I think that ride went really well. Couldn't find a kickstand, but the thing is actually in front of the pedal, in front of the peg, not behind it. Pretty awesome. And that's my 2 cents. So, some final thoughts. I like it. I like the bike a lot. I think Harley did a really good job on this one. I think the ST takes everything that was already good about the original Pan America, and they hyper-focus that on a version that is designed for somebody like me who is really not interested in the off-road capability or the off-road riding, and they've tuned it to be a on-pavement machine. And I think that they've done a really good job with that. I like the package. I like all the changes. It's definitely a good riding, good handling bike. And without more time in the saddle, there's not really much more I can say about it. I think I got a pretty good ride in with it today. It wasn't just a quick little ride around the block, and it, it really impressed me in some ways, and in other ways I kind of expected it because, like I said, I did already get a chance to ride the original Pan America, and a lot of it carries over. For me personally, it feels like it's not so tall, it's not so big, even though I don't have a problem with tall bikes. I'm 6 foot, and I can, get my feet down on just about anything that I've ridden so far. It just feels like a more comfortable package. It's definitely a little bit lighter weight. It seems to handle a little bit better. And it's definitely got some capability. I know that you can definitely kit this one out pretty well. It does support the hard sports panniers that Harley Davidson has. They're the kind of the more sporty hard luggage that they have for the Pan America. They were also an option on the full-size Pan America as well. And if I were to have bought a regular Pan Am, I would have definitely opted for the sports hard cases because I think they look better. It's just more appealing. It fits my styling more. I'm not really into the large square box hard side cases that you see on a lot of the adventure style bikes. But the ST does not support the racking system for the big square side cases and top box. So I don't think that that's really an option to even worry about. And that's perfect for me because, like I said, I would get the sports hard cases anyway. I believe that it would have as much as, if not more, luggage carrying capability than my Triumph does now. I think it would definitely handle the excess added weight a little bit better. I know that I've definitely loaded up that Street Triple way more than they've probably ever intended. And granted, I've never had a problem with it, and it's handled it quite well. But I believe the ST would definitely handle that a little bit better. It is a bike that's built kind of with that in mind. So with that being said, depending on which direction I decide to lean when I'm ready to add a second bike to the garage, it's definitely a bike that I would consider buying, in the group or list of bikes that I have in my head of, potential candidates of what I would buy when I'm ready. Really the only bad thing is that the ST is a new model, so there isn't the used market or secondhand availability like there is for the original Pan Am. I know that you can find some pretty good deals on some of the older used Pan Ams that are still, decent mileage at a really good price. That's really not going to be so for the ST for at least a year or two because it is a brand new model, so the used market's going to be very slim for that. Pricing wise, I think it competes very well with the bikes in the category that it's trying to go after. I think for what you pay and what you can get with it and what it offers, I think it competes. It's right there with the other ones that you would consider buying. So, for me, it's really just a matter of when I'll be able to add a second bike and what I decide. My bike right now, the way I have it kitted out, it's kind of like a almost Swiss Army knife of all things motorcycling. It definitely leans way more heavier on the sports side than it does on the touring side. So with that being considered, it kind of leaves me at a fork in the road when I decide to add a second bike, because when I'm adding a second bike, like I said, it's going to be an addition to my Street Triple and not necessarily a replacement for it. One thing that I know is that I am a sport bike rider at heart. Sport bikes are what I've always loved. Sport bikes are kind of what got me into riding. Sport bikes are still what drive me. I definitely am more interested in sport bikes than anything else, which is the main reason why I decided to go with the naked bike as my first bike, because I did not want to lock myself into a fully committed riding position, knowing some of the difficulties with that, knowing that I never had any experience with that, knowing that I'm north of a 40-year-old person, and not that that's a problem, but I wanted to at least give myself the option to be able to do as much as possible with the bike. So I felt going with a naked bike gave me easily at least 90% of what a sport bike offered me, and what me as a rider would be capable of on a bike. And it, in the same turn, I don't have to sacrifice the longer ride comfort, the touring ability, the luggage carrying. Some of the stuff that I've done with my bike so far, would not be as easily done, if not maybe somewhat impossible, if I had a full-on super sport bike. So, that's something to consider. But it also leaves me the option to lean in either direction. So if I decide to pick up a second bike, I can definitely lean more into the sports side of things and go with a super sport. Or I can lean more on the touring side of things and get something closer to the Pan America ST, or any of the other bikes that I'd be considering. So I'm not going to get too involved in going over each of the potential candidates that I'm looking at right now. I can save that for another video in the future. This one's getting a little bit long in the tooth, and I want to keep it more focused on just my experience on the Pan Am ST. And my thoughts, which hopefully I did a good job of covering that while riding a somewhat unfamiliar bike and trying to also pay attention and not get into a wreck on the road. But no, it was an enjoyable ride. I liked it. I've got nothing but good things to say about it. I'll be watching these throughout the future just to see if there's any common problems that show up with it, if there's any issues that people are having. Like I said, it's definitely a bike that I'm interested in. It's 100% the Harley that I would buy if I were to buy a Harley. Like, if I were going to say, like, I want to buy a Harley Davidson, this is hands down the bike that I would buy. There's really nothing else that they make that appeals to me. Like I said, I'm not a big cruiser bike person, so, I like them. They're cool. They're fun to look at. And when I see ones that are, beautifully modified and out there for show, I can really appreciate and respect what they are. They're just not my style. They don't fit my riding style. They don't fit what I like right now. That might change in the future. Who knows? But as of right now, the Pan America bikes are the only ones that Harley puts out that really, I feel, call out to me. They really draw me in. And I could see myself on one of them. Like, I could see myself, if I were to buy, a 1250 Special or an ST, not regretting my decision, not really feeling out of place. I think I would fit the bike well. I think it would fit me well. I think I would enjoy it. So, that being said, big shout out to Barb's Harley Davidson. I appreciate that they always put on really cool events. I really appreciate the fact that they are always welcoming to people that are not Harley riders. I go to a lot of events at Barb's throughout the year. Obviously, I do not own or ride a Harley Davidson. And they've always been, very welcoming. I've never felt that stigma from any of the customers or any of the employees or any of the participants there of like, oh, why are you here? You're not on a Harley. Like, what are you doing? None of that. Everybody's very welcoming. Everybody's very cool. Everybody talks to you. Everybody's very personable. I've always had a good time. So I really give props to them. I think they run a really good operation. It kind of makes me wish that I had a Harley Davidson just because I see all the cool stuff they do, and I will give credit where credit is due. I think, at least in the U.S., that Harley has the lifestyle nailed down pat. I think that's what draws a lot of people in, is that, not to be stereotypical, but the brotherhood and just that lifestyle. And I see all those guys out there all the time. They look like they're having a blast and they're just enjoying themselves. And I think that that's cool. And I kind of wish, me being a Triumph fanboy, that Triumph leaned more into that. I know that way back in the day, Triumph used to have the Riders Association of Triumph. They used to call it Triumph Rat. They officially stopped that, I believe, in 2008 or 2009, long before I got into riding, which is unfortunate. But it would be nice to have something like that here for the brand that I ride and that I love, and I just don't see that. And that's one thing that I think that Harley has nailed down perfectly. So, kudos to them. But if you guys made it this far in the video, hey, I appreciate you watching all the way through. Please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. It helps the channel out. Leave a comment. I'd be happy to talk, have a conversation. And thanks again. We'll see you in the next one. See you later.